Alright, hi guys. My name is Star and today I'm gonna be excuse me. I'm gonna be talking about my experiences with being autistic. But before I begin, there's gonna be a trigger warning for ableism, bullying, harassment, sexual harassment, and also abuse as well. Now, before anybody asks, no, the abuse that I've been through has never, ever been by the hands of my parents. It has never been them. They went to school so that way they would know what to do with me. Well, my mom did. My dad, he took anger management classes and also collaborative problem solving classes, and same with my mom. And my mom has researched autism and like what to do, basically. So they basically used all the, I guess you could say, tools at their disposal to like be able to parent me the best they can. And I think I turned out fine. I am a little crazy, but everyone in my family has a gremlin energy, so I'm no different than the rest of my family. Other than the fact that me and one other person who I will not name in my family is autistic. Actually, I think two people actually. Yeah, two people in my family are autistic. An extended family member and a close family member. So yeah. Autism, what is it and what it is not? Common to popular belief, despite popular belief, no, autism is not the same as ADHD. People seem to think oh, autism and ADHD, they're the same thing. No, they are not. ADHD stands for Attention Deficit Hyperactivity Disorder. Well, it's called ADD now because they put ADHD under the ADD umbrella. For those who may not know, I don't know much about ADHD. I don't really know very many people with ADHD, so any person with ADHD, feel free to correct me on any misinformation I may say, because I'm not meaning it in a malicious way. So I'm sorry in advance that I don't know shit about ADHD other than it could cause hyperactivity, it limits your attention span, and it makes it difficult to remember things. Those are the only things I kinda understand about it. But let me know. Any person with ADHD, feel free to give me some information on it. Another misconception is that autism is a conduct disorder. This is kind of true, but kind of not true at the same time. It can have similar characteristics to conduct disorders, such as unspecified conduct disorder, oppositional defiance disorder, hyperexplosive disorder, reactive attachment disorder, and I forgot the name of one other conduct disorder, but it's basically kind of similar to ODD, except it's way more mild. And it could also have similarities to ASPD, which is antisocial personality disorder as well. It also has similarities to bipolar disorder, intellectual disability. I also have intellectual disability, which is a comorbid diagnosis of autism. Intellectual disability, also known as unspecified learning disability, is basically a type of learning disability. It's like an umbrella term. A lot of people with Down syndrome also has it. It's more common in people with like Down syndrome, and people who are born with brain problems also has a higher risk of getting intellectual disability. Like if you get a head injury as a child or as a baby, you're at higher risk for having it. Intellectual disability is different from autism. Autism is a neurological thing. It's more neurological than it is mental. Like the symptoms of autism I experience is speech problems, difficulty balancing, difficulty holding certain objects, difficulty standing up sometimes, uh, socially impaired, um, sensory processing issues, obsessive compulsive uh, tendencies, uh, food repulsed, but also eating way too much at times. So, both restrictive and binge eating are also symptoms I have. Um, Hyperfixations, um, hyperfocus and hyperfixations are two different things. Hyperfocus is when you are so focused on one singular thing that you just can't focus on anything else. Hyperfixation is basically when you take very extreme interest in certain things. Like, for example, let's just say you really, really love ice cream, but all you want to talk about is ice cream, and other people around you are like, why are you so obsessed with ice cream? But to you, you're just very, very interested. You're not obsessed with it to the point where it's unhealthy, um, but people find it very odd that you only talk about this specific thing. That's basically what it's like to have a hyperfixation. I am able to separate things from it, but when I want to talk about one specific thing, that's all I could think about, basically. Um, oh, yeah, also having involuntary movements, also known as tics, is a symptom of autism, which is what I have. Most of mine are verbal, meaning I say words as a tic. One of my most common tics is the I'm sorry tic. I have a tic where I'll say I'm sorry. I have another one that I will say yeah. Um, I'll say it's over there as a tic. I'll say get out as a tic. I only have one cussing tic. Luckily, only one, which I will like. This only occurs in very specific situations. Like when I'm alone and I see a hallucination, I'll say fuck off as a tic to it. And I won't even realize I say it to my hallucination until a few minutes after, where I'm like, damn it, my tics made me interact with my hallucinations. I already made a video about me, like, explaining my experiences with psychosis. Um, you could find it in the commentary playlist. Um, I also have physical tics, like I have it punching and hitting myself as tics. I have the stereotypical head twitch tic that a lot of people associate people with Tourette's or people with other neurological problems having, like the head shaking tic, the head twitch tic, the neck tic, where like my neck will twitch really, really bad. Like some of my tics could actually cause physical harm to me. Like my head turning tic. If I do it too much, I'll accidentally pull a muscle in my neck, and it fucking hurts a lot. And I also have a winking tic, which I am really scared of accidentally having a winking tic in front of the wrong person, because I've heard horror stories of other people who have had winking tics or any flirtatious tic, and they got the shit beaten out of them. And that's part of the reason why I don't make eye contact with people. It's because I have a winking tic, and I'm afraid that if I wink as a tic, they're gonna beat the shit out of me. So yeah, I have a winking tic, and it is very awkward because as a tic, I'll literally look at someone and wink at them as a tic. And I'm not making that up. I have done that multiple times. And it has been very awkward for both parties involved. You may have heard of Sweet Anita having a winking tic. I had it long before I even heard about her. I thought that I was the only person with that kind of tic. And then I saw that she had a winking tic just like me, and I was like, oh, thank God I'm not the only one who's fearful of having that tic. I'm sure it must be more awkward for her considering she's not sexually attracted to people. I think she mentioned she was asexual, which probably makes it more awkward for her. But like for me, not so much. I am pansexual, so I am a bit of a flirt. But the majority of the time, my winking tic is not made. Like, I don't do the winking thing on purpose. I want to make that clear. I don't do it on purpose. But another symptom of autism that I have is, I don't remember what it's called, but what it is basically you will switch information about specific memories in your head a lot, to the point where you don't know if the memories that you have are accurate. It's similar to what people with ADHD has, except it's like different. It's not that autistic people are forgetful. It's that our brains hold so much information that, like, it's basically like a disorganized file cabinet. You have all these files of information you either want to know, need to know, or both. However, imagine a toddler got into the files and messed them up, and you're trying to reorganize them. That's basically what it's like. It's like disorganized files in my head. That's what it's like. Another symptom of autism that I have, that is actually one of the most dangerous symptoms I have, is self-harm. It's a symptom of autism. Unfortunately, 1 in 3 people who do self-harm are autistic. So that is a really high statistic. It's more common in children with autism to self-harm, although it can persist into adulthood. So yeah, self-harm is a symptom of autism, unfortunately, and it can become addictive for autistic people to do that. So that is a dangerous part of being autistic. Another symptom of autism is rejection sensitive dysphoria, which means I am 10 times more sensitive to rejection than most people are. Like, for example, if I were to ask you to go get a coffee with me and you said, I don't want to, I would automatically think that you hate me. And that's like a really hard part of being autistic, is when it comes to rejection. Whenever it stopped recording randomly, but when I get rejected from things, I have to like physically like walk away as fast as possible, because I know it could potentially lead to me having a panic attack or a meltdown. And yes, I do have autistic meltdowns. Autistic meltdowns are very similar to panic attacks. They usually happen when either something triggers your like sensory problems, or it like triggers way too strong of emotions. It could cause a meltdown. And if anybody like says like, oh, autistic people have meltdowns for attention, no, we don't. I wish I didn't have meltdowns, because almost anything can trigger me into having a meltdown. And it sucks for, like, yeah, it sucks for the people around them, but think about the person having the meltdown. Imagine how bad it is for them. It is really fucking bad. And I would never ever wish this upon anybody. Like, when I have meltdowns, it feels like my throat is closing up. And it feels worse than a panic attack, depending on the situation. Meltdowns can often lead to panic attacks. And yes, panic attacks are a part of autism too. Because guess what is a comorbid diagnosis with autism? Depression and anxiety. Yay! I'm being sarcastic, by the way. It's not exactly the best thing in the world. Yeah, but my autism causes me to have severe anxiety and depression as well. But like, I want to talk about my experiences now. So when I was a kid, I was diagnosed with Asperger's syndrome. People don't use Asperger's syndrome anymore. Now it's just known as autism. The type of autism I have is a level 1, borderline level 2, which means I am almost, but not fully, just almost in the middle of the autism spectrum. So I have medium support needs. So I am able to do certain tasks on my own, such as eating, getting dressed, brushing my hair, showering, but I need prompting with other tasks such as brushing my teeth, stop eating or eat more food, because sometimes I either eat way too much or way too little. Remind me to drink water, remind me to shower, remind me to like keep my voice quiet, because I also talk really, really loud, because I can't auditorily process my own voice. Like, to me, my voice doesn't exist. Like, I don't recognize my voice as my voice, if you know what I mean. But, like, as I was, like, diagnosed as a kid, I was undiagnosed a couple, like, years later because my vision impacted the scores. And looking back, that's a bullshit excuse. I'm pretty sure they thought I couldn't be autistic because I wasn't a boy who loved trains. And I am assigned female at birth, so autism traits tend to present differently in people assigned female than they do assigned male. Some of the autism traits I have that is heavily associated with autistic AFAB people is masking, which I don't really do that unless it's like in like very short conversations. Like if it's like just like interacting with people like at a checkout in a store, or like asking for help for something, or like going to a restaurant and asking the waiter what I want. It's like, for me, I only mask if the conversation is going to be very, very, very short. If I know that I'm going to be talking to this person long term, I immediately don't mask, because I I know, like, okay, this person's going to be in my life for a while, so I don't see the point in masking. I also don't mask most of the time. I only do that if the conversation's like gonna be for 5 or 10 minutes long at most. Because that's the longest I can do with masking. I am not very good at masking. I am really terrible at it, actually. But when it comes to like talking to like younger people, I'm really good at masking. But around people my age or older, no, I am not good at masking. But like, I got re-diagnosed with autism at age 15, and also with intellectual disability, which I will do a video on next time. And I was like, oh, shit, that's why I've been having such a hard time focusing on shit. That makes sense. And why I don't like certain textures. But like, it's really hard living with autism, because autism is an invisible disability. Like, I remember one time I was out in public, and I was at like a doctor's appointment, and there was this doctor. She was trying to get me to like, she like told me about an MRI, and she forgot to warn me that that MRIs are really fucking loud. The MRI was to check if my appendix was about to burst. Turned out it was just an ovarian cyst. And I didn't know the MRI was gonna be so loud. And when I like heard the noise in the MRI, I almost jumped. I almost physically jumped. And the doctor forgot to tell me that the MRI was going to be really loud. So I was like, dude, I'm sorry that I didn't hold still. I'm autistic. I can't handle loud noises that well. And she's like, oh shit, sorry. And I'm like, no, it's okay. I should have probably told you. Sorry. But yeah, I remember like so many instances of me being like, I'm sorry, I cannot touch that because of the texture. And they were like, oh, just get over it. And I'm like, dude, I literally have a disability that makes it hard for me to touch certain textures. Like, pull your head out of your ass, dude. I also get a lot of really mean comments on my social media posts, being like, why is she like talking so aggressively, or like, why is she using an adult pacifier? And I'm like, I'm autistic. I literally need sensory toys, because if I don't have a sensory toy or a fidget near me, I will pick my skin until it bleeds, or bite my lips until they bleed. And I'll have tic attacks and panic attacks, and it is not fun. So pull your head out of your ableist asshole and consider other people around you. And also, I can't help the way I talk. This is just my natural voice. I literally cannot change my voice tone the same way that neurotypical people are able to change their voice tone, because that's just not how my brain works at all. Also, to anybody who says that autism is a really horrible disease and your kids will die from it, Autism's not a disease. It's a neurological disorder. That's what it is. It's not the worst thing in the world. Like, if I could choose between a kid being autistic and a kid having freaking cancer, I'd choose autism because at least they'd have a chance at living a good life. When you, because, chemotherapy has been proven to actually kill people. Because it kills all the good cells in the body, but that's not what this video is about. But autism is definitely not the worst thing in the world. There are plenty of really bad things out there, but autism is definitely nowhere close to one of those things. Autism is a genetic disorder. It does not need to be cured. What we need is understanding and acceptance of autism instead of trying to search for a cure or solve the puzzle of autism. All that us autistic people want is understanding. That's all we want. We want acceptance and understanding. We don't want a cure because we know that a cure is not possible because it is a genetic. Anyways, guys, that's it for today's video. My name is Star. Like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys later.